with a full moon in Capricorn. On the 21st of July, we have a little ending of a cycle that likely you thought would never end. Likely things are completing for you and changing and shifting that you didn't expect to actually shift. Maybe even a lot of people were hoping that this shift wouldn't be happening, but it is happening. Because this full moon is exactly happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn, right as we are about to finish the Cancer season. And this is a very symbolic full moon, because it shows you that we are done. We are kind of tired and done with the structure that we've been following. The things we've been repeating over and over and over, we're tired of repeating them. So this is the last repeat, the final loop. So if you can identify what kind of loop you've been in, you can identify what is about to end and shift for you. So this is going to be the last week of July. Finally, we are heading into Leo season. So we are leaving behind this very passive kind of energy. You know, it's been a very, very passive month. I mean, the number of people that told me they were going to be in hermit mode for this time, it's just a lot of people, including me. Because I didn't really want to uphold that structure once Saturn turned into retrograde. You know, if you remember how this month started, it started also with another full moon in Capricorn. So this was the second, to finish a cycle of working through all the issues that have been destabilizing, upsetting your life. And now we have come out of a very hard transit. It is probably the second hardest transit of the year, which is the Mars-Uranus conjunction on Algol. And now Mars is in Gemini. Finally, we are moving out of this very, very lazy kind of energy. And things are starting to get more stimulating, more interesting. Because Mars is how we get things done. And the Sun is usually at a kind of weak position in Cancer. It's a bit passive. You know, it reminds me of when you're just sitting on the couch and you don't really want to do anything. That's generally the energy that we've been in for the month of Cancer. Because most of the planets were in water. And we didn't have any fire until Venus and Mercury entered Leo, which happened only within the last 2 weeks. And Mercury is going to be entering retrograde very soon. So we're now in a Mercury shadow period. And in this shadow period, we are kind of re-examining some last things, some last details of what we've been doing, what we've been accomplishing so far. If you can look back on this month of July, can you think of the things that you've accomplished, the goals you finished, the tasks you finally completed, the tasks you maybe thought you were never going to complete? But it's now coming to an end. That work cycle is over. And it is basically the marking of the end of a prologue of what Saturn entering retrograde together with Neptune is really about. Because these energies, these planets, they're working all together. You never look at a planet on its own. You understand that what we are going through collectively, what we're going through individually, is tied to a cycle. Cycle that is all about themes. So where do we have those themes? If you're looking back, the themes are about finishing the work. And now it's time to maintain. And it's time for you to maybe look at what the consequences of your past actions are in the moment. As now Neptune is for the last time in Pisces, Uranus is for the last time in Taurus, the Sun is for the last time in Cancer for this year. And now that finally we are heading into Leo season. Most of the energy will be in Leo. So we have 3 planets in fire. And Mercury is going to enter Virgo very shortly, but it's going to go right back into Leo anyways when it's in retrograde. So fire will be a theme. When we have a combination of fire and Saturn, Neptune in water, we are looking at a very emotional month. But one that is energetic, one that is fun, one that is stimulating. If you have been looking for something that you desired for a very long time, maybe August is the time to finally get it. And of course, Jupiter is in Gemini, and it's leaving the orbit of Aldebaran, which is the fixed star of getting benefits that don't last. Relationships that are only temporary, contracts that were never going to make you happy anyways. And we are going to examine our relationship contracts moving forward, as Black Moon Lilith, which opposes Neptune still, is going to get closer and closer to the South Node. We are going to hit a transit very soon in August, which is going to show you where you have to let go of doing things on your own. You have to let go of being alone. So a lot of people could be feeling more alone at this time, and that aloneness will come to an end. Because you see, the South Node is about what we're leaving behind. Lilith in Libra is where we reject or we hide from a relationship that we feel that we do not deserve. We're leaving this behind. So if you've been feeling like you don't deserve what you pay for, whether it's your money, your energy, or your attention, that's not going to last anyways. So fear not. And at the same time, this full moon, it happens on the same day that the moon enters Pluto. So what a lot of you people may be missing out on is the fact that because the moon is at 29 degrees of Capricorn, the full moon is conjunction Pluto, which is at 0 degrees of Aquarius at this moment. So a full moon with conjunction Pluto, Pluto is where we control things, the swamp, the stagnation of the personality, where we've been putting our power to the external. We've allowed external circumstances to dictate our happiness, our wellness, our well-being, like we are not in control of whether we are going to be okay mentally or not. So maybe if you look back over the last 2 weeks, these were weeks for a lot of people filled with anxiety, worry, stress, fear. That cycle is finishing. And perhaps we are now looking at where we can be a little bit more independent, a little bit more free. But if you're looking for freedom in your relationships, that's not going to be the case, really. If you're ending a relationship at this karmic cycle, you are also beginning another relationship. Because once Lilith hits that South Node, it's very likely that a lot of you people will find themselves in new relationships, new connections, new contracts, new agreements. And of course, now that both Mars and Jupiter are in Gemini respectively, Mars will close in on that Jupiter more and more and more. And in August, it will be conjunction Jupiter, around the time of the new moon, which is going to be, of course, in 2 weeks from now. So, because Mars moves just a tiny bit slower than a degree per day, it will hit that Jupiter around the new moon. And Jupiter-Mars conjunction in Gemini is about finally saying what you think, saying what kind of ruffles the boat, so to speak, and doing what you want, getting what you want. This is the month to finally get it. To be impulsive about it, if you want to be, you don't really care. You're kind of done. We're done with following the rules. That's what Algol Mars has really showed us. Uranus Mars has showed us that we are done allowing somebody else to be in charge of our life, to let somebody else tell us what we can and cannot do. This month has shown us we cannot say yes to that. We cannot agree to give ourselves away to another. And the whole conjunction also shows you where you're reconnecting to what's really important, the essentials. You know, this whole month of Cancer season has been about the essentials. It was a very contracted, protecting energy. You know, when both Sun and Venus were in Cancer, and Mars, Uranus were very close to Algol at the same time, that was really about 1.5 weeks ago, when we were so focused on maintaining what we have built that we couldn't build anything new. We couldn't even imagine that something new would be possible. But now Algol has showed us, yes, it is possible to change. Even if you are scared. Even if you feel like you can't move and you're frozen and you're like, no, I can't deal with these consequences. What are they going to think? If I quit this job, what is going to happen to my money, my finances? If I just sit on my ass and do nothing? If I just quit this relationship, what am I going to have? The poverty consciousness, the lack of essentials, the lack of support, the emotional neglect, the loneliness, the betrayal. All of these have been themes of Cancer season, where we feel that we are alone and we don't really want to deal with anybody else. And that is why I call it the hermit season. Hermit season is now coming to an end. So if you can understand what the main reason for the hermit season was for you personally, then you know what you're leaving behind. Now, when Mercury goes into retrograde, it's very interesting because it's going to go through Virgo for a little while, and then mainly it's just going to sit there for the sign of Leo for a whole month. So what is it actually doing as it retrogrades through Leo? Well, it's examining where we have been blocked from having fun, from expressing what gives us joy, what allows us to have a good time. And when Mars hits Jupiter, that's actually when a lot of reckless activities are likely to happen, where people are going to indulge, people are going to engage in things that are a little bit taboo. And we've already had a little taste of that with the Uranus-Mars transit. You know, because all that Algol is really about is to do what is taboo, to do what is forbidden. Are we going to finally give ourselves permission in the month of Leo? Maybe. Maybe not. Because when Mercury turns into retrograde, you're going to think about what you shouldn't do, but you really want to do. But are you going to take action? Well, most people will probably not. Because when Mercury is in session for its retrograde, we know from experience that we are thinking about doing that thing, but we're not really doing that thing. It's about blocked, repressed, pent up, denied energies. And, of course, during that month, Mercury is also conjunction Venus. And that's interesting. Because as we're thinking about our pleasure, as we're thinking about what gives us fun, joy, happiness, our relationships, our diet, our body, our self-esteem, these things are going to come into focus, where we are looking to get more fun than possibly we can actually tolerate. And there's only so much we can do when Mercury is in retrograde, and we may get stuck in loops where we feel like we can't do this. I know we should change, but something is still holding us back. So hopefully, and I think it will happen, that when Mars is going to be conjunction Jupiter, and the next new moon is going to hit us, when it's in Leo, that's going to really have a little change. So, in preparation for this new cycle, for this new beginning that you are going towards, you are going to think about a commitment to fun, a commitment to the life that you always wanted, but you just couldn't give yourself permission to do it. So maybe Mars, Jupiter is going to finally give you the courage to make that happen at the time of a new moon. Now we're talking about the full moon. So this is kind of just like a preparation. We're ending a cycle. So now we're at point zero. Now we're just at the 0 point, not knowing what's going to happen next. We're kind of in purgatory, transitioning, waiting, observing, wondering, can we really do this? And when the sun goes into Leo, the answer is yes. You can finally do what you want. You don't have to play it safe. You don't have to be so careful. Just go out and do that thing. Because all those careful representatives are coming to an end. And as Lilith is now in Libra, and it's getting closer to the South Node, we are really feeling that that dark zone, that taboo thing, that thing that we've been avoiding, we've been hiding from. It's finally going to catch up to us. And we're realizing we can't get stuck there. It's time to finally do what we want. Take a risk and get out of your comfort zone. So now, the moon conjunction Pluto transit as the full moon is in Capricorn at 29 degrees. That's showing you also with a moon opposition Venus transit, as Pluto is still a little bit opposing that Venus, it's also, of course, opposing the Sun. So right now, you may feel a little bit under the microscope, like you're a little bit harsh with yourself, a little bit critical. Then that energy is going to last for a little while, just for a week, just for a week, until July is over. Then that microscope is going to be over as well. And things are going to be much lighter. Things are going to be much smoother. Because right now they can feel quite heavy. But you know what? These full moons, they really, in energetic ways, only last for 3 days. So around July 24, you're already moving on. You're already forgetting about that. You're moving from the moon in Aquarius into the moon in Pisces. And that's when you're just like on your cloud nine, on your vacation. Energetically, emotionally, physically, you're just done. So, yeah, a heavy cycle is completing. And I've been also making this post recently today, where I talked about this guy who said, you know what, enough is enough. I've been trying again and again, banging my head against the wall, but it's just not working. I'm never gonna get back what I've lost. So it's time to let go of the past. And I think that's really what the full moon in Capricorn is showing us. Because if the moon is conjunction Pluto, opposing the sun in 29 degrees of Cancer, you need to understand that 29 degrees is where we feel like we are done with that thing. So what exactly is the sun at 29 degrees of Cancer done with before it goes into Leo? It's done with the past. It's done with repeating cycles. It's done with trying again and again. The crab, it's known for its tenacity, its perseverance, its ability to endure. It seems like we are done enduring. And we are finally going to take action. And we're going to take a lot of action. So get ready for a lot of activities to happen in around 2 weeks from now. Because that Mars, Jupiter, that fire energy, that Mercury retrograde, whoa. There's going to be a lot of activities. But now, no. No. You're just like, I call it the collective hibernation cycle. The collective, I'm kind of in a stupor. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I'm done. That's basically it, energetic speaking. So with that being said, that's a full moon in a nutshell. And that's the last week of July. It's like coming out of a stupor, coming out of a coma, thinking, did that shit show really just happen? Was that really the last shit show? Am I really out of the danger, or do I still have to watch out? I'm a bit suspicious here. I don't trust this. I don't think this is really as good as it seems. I don't think we're really out in the clear. But astrologically speaking, you are in the clear now. This cycle is over. It's time to relax. And of course, this is just an astrological update. This is just like me being the weatherman. So I'm just telling you what's in the astrology for you at this moment. So if this reading didn't apply word for word for you, don't take it too serious. There may be somebody else who this applies to. Keep in mind that I'm only talking about the collective energies, not talking about you specifically. If you're looking for a more personal reading, a specific reading, please feel free to reach out at any given time. I do one-on-one readings at any given time. You can check out my services down below or in the photo album section of my page. If you like to book one of my services, just leave me a message on Messenger or email. Now, if you like this, I would really appreciate if you want to leave a like or subscribe to support my channel. And I'm going to now address questions, last things for my viewers. So let's see here. Any words on the Sun and Mars cycles? Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, the relationship between the Sun and Mars, the Sun and Mars both represent the masculine doing what it does, is to protect, is to step up, take action, take charge, make a decision, lead with both the head and the heart. Now, these are going to be both in masculine signs moving forward. So, you know, the Sun and Mars have been in very passive, very restricted, very contracted, and very kind of weak signs for the last month. Now they're heading into very strong positions. Of course, Mars and Gemini is not the easiest to deal with, because often there's conflict about information, misinformation, or our opinions, what we're thinking, what they are thinking, like who's right, who's wrong. Mars and Gemini can have a lot of activity in that area, but it's still a lot of activity. This last week has felt like you're literally in a coma, and that coma is now over. So that's a relationship between the Sun and Mars, especially if they're moving together, because they're very close to each other. The Sun is now forming a sextile with Mars, meaning the Sun is really ready to support our protector, our fighter, our warrior, the one who stands up and says what he wants to say. Maybe is finally getting the recognition that he wants. Because usually when we go out of our way to say what we think, it's not really going to lead to the best outcomes. And that's why, generally speaking, Mars and Gemini isn't the best either. But it's a hell of a lot better than Mars and Taurus and Mars and Cancer. So this is going to be a very active month. Before, about 60 to 90 days from now, Mars is heading into Cancer. So yeah, Mars and Gemini can definitely be also procrastination, because we're thinking about taking action. Instead of just taking action, we are thinking about it. So we're trying to get more information, more facts, like, are we really doing the right thing? Should we really be doing this? Are you sure? Are you sure? Let's get more facts before taking action. But still, The fact that the Sun is in Leo, which is a sign of I follow my heart, I don't care about the facts, is doing a sextile with Mars. It seems like we are having a little bit of a boost here. Will there be permanent breakups between couples that are not meant for each other during Mercury retrograde? Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it could be, you know. Because Mercury, when it's retrograde, is going to be conjunction Venus in August. When that happens, you're going to question and doubt some of the relationships that you have. Because you want to make changes there. And you want to talk about something that maybe you haven't been able to address in the past because you were too afraid to go there. Venus is kind of our unfulfilled needs. In Leo, generally speaking, is in a very good position. But when it's conjunction Mercury, we're kind of a sweet talker. We're kind of a smooth one. We're kind of charming. We're kind of sweet. We don't really like to go into a quarrel. But with Mars, Gemini, Jupiter transit, with Mercury retrograde, I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna have to say it. It gives me a shit show transit. Yes, shit show transit. A shit show is basically where you are second guessing, you're not sure what's going on, you know you don't like it, you kind of feel uncomfortable, maybe a little bit stuck, you feel like, what is going on? I'm a little circus, my head is spinning. And your head may literally be spinning out of control during the next new moon, 2 weeks from now. Which is going to be, let's see, around the 5th of August, around that time. Yeah? At the end of the first week of August, your head may literally be going crazy. It's a bit of a shit show transit, I'm not gonna lie. Not looking forward to this, because I was hoping, that the shit shows are ending this month. But I don't really see anything else that's bad for the Mercury retrograde month. Other than that, it's going to be pretty good. And most of your problems, whatever problems you have, they're more of a mental nature. They're more in your mind and your imagination than in reality. So yeah, that should answer your questions. So if you like this reading, please leave a like and subscribe. If you like to hear more updates like this in the future, just keep in mind that you can make me a favorite on Facebook, you can subscribe to my channel, and you can get the updates that you want right on time. That being said, thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.